You know that Johnny Depp, he played in that movie about the bad director, that Ted Wood or whatever. Yeah, he played in that one. He played in that Pirates one. My kids like it, the Pirates one. Yeah.
Hi friends, and welcome to Screen Vomit, the only movie podcast for normal people. I'm of course your host Kayla, and I do obviously have a guest with me today. But before I get to that, if you like this episode or the podcast or me, you can find me online everywhere at Screen Vomit. One word on all the stuff, Instagram, whatever you can think of, I'm probably on there. Love to be online. I also have beautiful shirts and merch you can buy for the little freak in your life who loves movies and pictures of monsters puking. The link to that stuff is in my show notes and in all my bios. I mention a making of featurette that I watched in relation to this movie in the episode, and that is also linked in the show notes if anybody else wants to watch that for some reason. And I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/screenvomit, and Patreon heads, look out because at some point a bigger, longer, uncut version of this episode is going to be on the Patreon. Not today or this week because I'm going on vacation. However, sometime it will be. So check out that. All right, so let me get to my guest. My guest today is a writer, director, animator, actor, Jack Dunphy. You may have heard of Jack Dunphy on the pod in the past. I actually found out about his work through doing my podcast on my episode with Josh Bukowski and Jordan Tatuski from a couple months ago. He makes these gorgeous, mildly fictionalized but deeply autobiographical shorts that are really cool. I believe most of his shorts are Vimeo staff picks now. Chekhov, Serenity, Revelations, Brontosaurus. He just had a new old short dropped on No Budge that was previously unreleased. He's got so much stuff coming up. He starred in the controversial South by Southwest award winner Assholes, which is directed by Peter Vack, who rocks. And he wrote for 2 films directed by Nathan Silver, Stinking Heaven and Great Pretender. He also has a podcast coming out soon, tentatively titled Revelations, where he gets into his own battles with addiction, losing his best friend to drugs, and interviews a slew of great guests like Betsy Brown, also Peter Vack, and others. He also writes articles for talkhouse.com. So my man's got all kinds of shit coming up. And he's just made a new movie that is not out yet. So check out his stuff on the horizon and currently online as well. Also, his birthday is December 28th. So this will be coming out on the 13th, I believe. So tell him happy early birthday. Big 30. It's a big boy for him. So this is a good one. I also need to note in the episode about probably after the intro, it'll probably be 10 minutes in or something. There's going to be a weird bumper, a weird jump cut where we kind of rambled on a little too long, getting a little too intellectual over the concept of what makes someone laugh and the concept of telling a funny story over and over. I still left a little bit of it in, but we just got to rambling. So I cut a big chunk of it out. So if you go, well, what happened here? That's what happened. So I don't know, just heads up on that. All right, so let me get to the episode. Here it is, babe. Bye.
To just saying how excited I am to do this in a genuine way.
Thank you.
I'm so excited. You have great energy, and I really appreciate you plugging my stuff on your social media. And I'm just excited to hear myself talk and get to know you. And this is a very, very nice way to spend a Sunday afternoon.
Thanks. Hell yeah. Are you a New York guy now?
No, I'm Chicago now.
Okay.
Lived in New York for a long time, but my clock on my computer still says it's still New York time because I always like to be an hour ahead. Okay. And so that's why I got confused about our time.
What part of Chicago are you in now?
I'm in Pilsen.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so you know Chicago.
I know Chicago. I lived there for several years. I no longer live there, although I kind of say that I have co-residency because I'm there so often. And I'll be back in like 2 weeks again.
Oh,
and
really?
then 2 weeks after that as well. Yeah.
Cool. Well, hit me up if you want to have lunch or something.
Sure. I don't think in 2 weeks, I think I'm just coming for one day and I'm going to do a lot of stuff in that day. I got to see 2 movies and go to a comedy show.
Okay.
But the next time that I'm there, I think I'll have more time.
You want to see how this goes before we commit to off-mic interaction.
No, I really don't care. I would totally meet up. I'm not really shy. I meet up with strangers all the time off the internet.
Really?
Stranger filmmakers. But it's been great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Cool.
I'm probably not as afraid of that as I should be.
Well, this new age we live in.
I'm just generally not really scared of people, I guess.
There's nothing to be scared of when it comes to filmmakers. No filmmaker has ever done anything nefarious or problematic.
No, it hasn't gone bad for me yet. Knock on wood.
Good.
Anyway, okay, so let's talk about something else. You have so much stuff coming up. Where do we even start? You got all this crap. You got new films coming out. You're in films. You got podcasts. Let's talk about your podcast. You've been working on this for a long time, true or false?
Yeah, how'd you know?
Because I have Google.com, baby.
Wow. I'm on Google?
Yeah, Google's been plugging you. I don't know if you've ever...
Nice. Yeah, the podcast, I don't know. I thought it was going to be called Revelations with Jack Dunphy. That's me, Jack Dunphy. It
self-plug.
Yeah, it might... I exist. It might still be called that. My producer wants me to change it because I have a short film called Revelations, and he doesn't want it to be confusing for the 12 people who have seen my short film. But anyway, it's going to be something with Jack Dunphy. It's being put out on the Talkhouse Network.
Mm-hmm. When are you going to just do it? When's it coming out?
Just do it. I believe it's going to be the very beginning of the new year, like the first week of the new year.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
I know I take too long.
Resolutions with Jack Dunphy, more like.
Resolutions. There you go. Very good. I know that you said you edit these heavily, and I'm completely, I've gone completely OCD with the editing. And yeah, I don't know. It just, I can be a kind of a slow worker.
Slow cooker.
Slow cooker.
So the editing's what's tripping you up?
The editing and waiting for different people to be on the podcast, and also
So you want to get cooler people on first so that you can bump the not as cool people.
Oh yeah, I will be bumped soon. No, yeah. Well, I guess I'll say a little bit about it. I talk at the beginning of it, and then we go into the interviews, and it's focused specifically on my battles with addiction and depression and mental health stuff. And also I talk about my friend John Sabulu, who died, who is a great artist who's unknown. I hope he won't be unknown forever, but he died of a drug overdose, and we were just like soul brothers. And I don't know, maybe I have some survival's guilt about it or something, but I like to pay tribute to him and unpack his life and celebrate him. And just, it's a lens for me to talk about my own issues. And so the structure of the season is sort of loosely based around those stories about our relationship, but I also just go into where I'm at in life. It sort of chronicles my descent into addiction and then going to rehab. And then I talk with guests who make similar kind of art that I do, in a way, like autobiographical, and just people who have something to talk about when it comes to mental health, blah, blah, blah. It's not like a public service podcast. Like, it's not like I don't do BetterHelp commercials in the middle of it. It's just like sort of raw conversations. I have Kaveh Zahedi, Betsy Brown, who I have a deep relationship with. We unpack how much of a shithead I was at certain points during our relationship. Peter Vack, the actor and provocateur, cool people.
So do these people all have some kind of relationship with drug addiction or just mental health in general?
Not all of them have issues like that, but like for instance, Betsy, who I mentioned, she doesn't have issues with mental health as far as I know. She definitely doesn't have issues with addiction. Well, at least not to the same hard stuff that I do, but we had a very complicated relationship where I kind of like, we had a romantic relationship after
she has a relationship with an addict.
Right.
So she has a relationship with addiction, even though it's not her personal addiction.
I suppose so. Yeah, I'm worried that I have to rein it in because I feel
Why?
like my sincerity is I don't know, perhaps not cohesive, not
You
doesn't
don't think it's
work.
welcome here?
I don't know. I don't
It's
know.
welcome here.
It's
I have
welcome.
I have so many episodes of sincerity and trauma spilling and just
Well,
recounting stories of our life. I absolutely get into that crap on my podcast. I know it seems like, oh, I'm just coming on this movie podcast and now I'm being all serious, but it's actually more than that.
of course it is.
So,
I never
but
thought it was just
I am
this.
just a goofball. How else do we deal with our trauma but make it silly and do goofs?
I should mention that the podcast is funny. Like, I don't know. Like, it really is. It's not like everything I say, like every pitch I have to make, every, like, this is my project, this is my film
Yeah.
that I'm making. And then, like, I see people's face just sort of flush. And then I'm like, it's funny. I swear to God. Like, it sounds so dour. I know, like, but yes, no, I agree that laughter is
And do you laugh?
not the best medicine, but what's that?
I said, do you laugh?
Do I not seem like I have a sense of humor?
I'd say you seem like you have a sense of humor, but I don't think I've heard you laugh yet.
I'm a hard laugh.
You're doing smiles.
I'm a hard laugh. I think you know. I think you're funny.
Thank you.
I like your laugh.
I'm a huge laugher.
well,
It's
I
very
love
well
that.
known. I'm a chucklehead. I can't stop chuckling. Sometimes I think my neighbors will call the police on me for how loud and how long I'm laughing. They will get concerned that something is wrong with me down here. But
Yeah.
so that's the kind of laugher that I am.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. I have certain people in my life who made me laugh. Paul Schrader said something that was so brilliant, which was something happens to you and you tell the story the first time to someone, and it's lively and it's funny because you're not reciting, you're remembering as you go, and then it's a great story, and so you tell someone else, and the second time's kind of like perfect because
Yeah.
you can edit it because you already tried it out once. So that's like the peak of the storytelling of that story is the second time. Third time it starts to wane because now you're sort of reciting the story instead of remembering it. And
The more times you tell it, you're telling your memory of telling the story versus your experience of living the story.
right, and it's not spontaneous and you're in the moment anymore. And but you're like, well, it did so well the past couple times. This is probably just maybe it was the wrong person. This story has like a few more. There's a few more times to shine. And then the fourth time you tell it, you're bored yourself telling it, you're watching yourself tell it, and you see the other person sort of losing interest, and that's when it's time to write it down.
Oh, we all have those stories, though.
We do.
Yeah. And then it's like, what do you do? That's my best story.
Oh,
I had a great story about getting food poisoning in New York for a while. And then it's like, now I've told it so much, it's not a good story. What do I got to do? Shit my pants somewhere else?
Well, now I'm curious about the story.
Well, it was the very first time I went to New York City. The very first... The first pizza place I went to, which my friend made me go to, which was from the credits of Louis. You know the show Louis? Sorry, he's canceled
Never heard
now.
of it.
The man's canceled now.
No,
Louis
he's
CK.
back. He's back.
But in the opening credits, he like gets a slice of pizza, he flips off.
I'm well aware.
Yeah. So we went to that place anyway.
He
I got
doesn't
food
flip
poisoning.
out the camera.
He
doesn't
flips
flip
off.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't flip off the camera.
Well, maybe he doesn't, but I think he does. And then so we got pizza there, but I got mushrooms on mine and nobody else did, and I got terrible food poisoning. And we went to Central Park, and we're walking around. I'm getting tummy pains. I'm going, oh, something's gonna happen, And
Yeah.
but we're in Central Park, and it's like, where can you go? There's no bathrooms here. There we find one little hut. It's closed. The more we're walking, I'm like doubled over in half, and I'm like, we're gonna have to go somewhere because something's gonna come out of one way, and it ain't gonna be pretty. But we came out, and we're like on Fifth Ave, and there's like no place to go. It's like ritzy shops everywhere. And the only place we could find with public restroom was the Trump Tower. So so I went in the Trump Tower, annihilated the place, both ends for like, I was probably in there for like an hour while my friends just like chilled at the Starbucks that's in there or whatever. And people are like knocking, "Are you okay?" And I'm going, "I don't know."
Yeah.
And we came out of there, and then I'm like hungry because I just like shit and puked out all the food that I had.
You need more.
I needed more. I was hungry. We went to a restaurant. I'm like, I think I'm fine now. I take a single bite of food and go and puke instantly. And by that point, I had made a terrible mistake. So when we were my friend lived on Long Island that we were staying with, and we were in Manhattan. So it was quite a journey to get back home. And I'm just stopping everywhere and puking in trash cans on the street. That was like the second day that we were in New York, my first trip to New York ever. And so I was like bedridden for the other 3 days of the trip. And our last day there, we're going back. We were going to stop at Cake Boss in New Jersey on the way home. We drove to New York. So we're going to stop at Cake Boss. I'm like, I'm better now. It's been days. I'm in the car. I have to fart. But turns out it was diarrhea.
Oh, no.
So the 5 minutes into a 16-hour drive, shit my pants. And then we stopped in New Jersey to go to Cake Boss, and I went into a Subway and threw my underwear in the trash and put my bag over the shit part of my dress and went into Carlo's Bakery with shit all down my backside. And you know what? It wasn't even that good. So that's my shit story about New York.
How do you feel like that story went over just now?
Fine. Not amazing. It used to get huge laughs. I was going to do it for a stand-up a long time ago. Did you ever go to Ladylike at Cafe Mustache? You may have been in New York the whole time that it was a show.
I knew
When
of
did
it.
you move away?
I was at Kohl's a lot.
When did you move away to New York?
I was 20. So I don't know when that would have been, like 2012 or 13.
Okay. And then you've just been back in Chicago for a little bit, or how long?
I've been back in Chicago for a couple years now, which is weird. I feel like I just got back. By the way, I liked that story.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. I was just wondering.
It's fine.
Because I'm like analyzing.
The concept of telling a story over and over.
Yes, that's where we're.
No, I got
where
you.
I took it. You did stand up.
No. Here's the thing. I wanted to do stand-up, and I wanted to specifically do it at this one show. It was actually hosted by Sarah Squirm.
I remember.
I loved this show. I went to it was monthly. I went to every month for years. But I think I'm not sure if it still happened since Pandy. I have no idea. But anyway, it was like just a show for like non-men to tell gross stories about like puke or shit or whatever kind of nasty shit they could tell. And I loved the show. I was obsessed. So anyway, I wanted to do that there. And I sent in an application or whatever. You have to just like tell them you want to do it and give them like a synopsis of your story.
Because it's like a story. It's a storytelling show.
It's sort of storytelling, but it's comedy. You know what I mean?
Because stand-up is you just put your name in the bucket.
Yeah. So like, it's not like exactly stand-up, but it's like funny storytelling, I guess. But anyway, they never responded to me. And then that was the beginning and end of my comedy career.
Isn't it fun? Isn't it fun when that comedy dream dies?
I never thought I would do. People have told me a lot of times that I should be a comedian, but I just don't.
You're very magnetic. You're likable.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was not likable. I'll tell you, I've never admitted this publicly, but I did stand up for a long time.
Oh, yeah?
And I don't think I was ever likable on stage. I didn't like myself. I wasn't happy to be there, and they could sense that.
Did you get laughs, though?
Sometimes. And then I would stop when I was starting to get, I mean, they were infrequent laughs, but sometimes when I would get okay, I would take long breaks, and then I'd start again, and then I would be back to square one. And it wasn't something that I should have been doing, but I did it for a long time.
Yeah.
And
in Chicago or where?
Chicago and New York.
Yeah.
Chicago in high school, I did it a lot. And then in college, and then I remember it starting to get a lot worse in college. Because high school, well, people are more generous because you're kind of a kid. But I was so cocky in high school. Like I just was such a confident piece of shit. And I came across some tape of me doing it, and it was like 17 or 16, and the jokes weren't.
How old were you when you found the tape?
Probably 21 or something.
So only a couple years later.
I know, but when you're that young, you don't understand how time works yet. So it's like eons away. And I was the jokes weren't great, but I was just so cocky, and it was just like, I'm funny. I don't care if you like me. And so there was something there. I mean, it's not like a great or even good comedian, but there's like, you need that confidence. And then after 18, the insecurity and self-loathing just took over. And so suddenly I was just this like lump on stage, like, I'm sorry for my existence. Here's a joke. Oh, you don't like it. I didn't like it either. I suck, you know?
Yeah.
So I floundered.
Aw.
Do you know Carmen Esposito?
Cameron?
Cameron, whatever. She used to, she used to host that big show at Cole's Bar, which is right across the street from Cafe Mustache. And she used to co-host it with Adam Burke, who's an Irish comedian. And it was like the hottest spot. And now Cole's is like Night at the Apollo or something. Like I went in there recently and it's just insane. Like it's the hottest open mic in town.
Yeah, they have a real booker now, so now their shows cost like $12.
Yeah, so when I was doing it, you just had to show up.
I was just there a couple weeks ago.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
I can't go in there. I was just going to tell a horror, like just a shit story at Cole's. I finally got on. You got to wait forever. And it was one of the first times I got like laughs at that place. And I had groaners back then, like just a dark, perverted joke that used to be able to, and you can still tell it if you're good, but like a bad comedian could kind of get away with that more than. And I was like, it was just got addicted to it because like bros from the bar like heard one joke. I mean, they're like, fuck yeah. And then they like came in to hear more like dirty jokes. And I was so
You were kind of addicted to being problematic.
I was so high. That wasn't even a word. I was so high.
You
on my
invented
own.
Problematic.
I was so, yeah, man. Welcome to Cum Boys.
Yeah.
I was so high on my own fumes, I just forgot about the light, which is the most unacceptable thing you could do, especially as an amateur comic. Just forget that you have to get the fuck or wrap it up in 20 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just kept going. And I just turned and I saw Cameron Esposito with her like mullet or mohawk or whatever, just with her like dead stony eyes, just like right there on stage with me. And she just like grabbed the microphone out of my hands. And it was at the most embarrassing point because I had just, what if a farmer in the Midwest said something like, hey, how are you doing? And like I just had launched into the dorky voice, like, hey, how you doing? No. And then she just like grabbed the microphone. It was the worst point in the routine to do it. And I sat down, like just like my tail between my legs. And she goes, that's what happens. That's what happens. Like a vice principal. And then I think she felt bad. And she was like, no, that was good, though. That was good, though. You're a good looking guy. Like she kept saying I was a good looking guy. And
she's gay, so.
I know. Well, yeah, I know.
So
I've
then
seen
you're
her
like,
act.
how much is it?
I know her thing. Sorry.
We probably should get into the movie.
Oh, okay.
At some point.
Yeah, I guess we should.
We should. We're having such a great time chatting. But we can also have a great time chatting about the movie. Well, do you disagree?
No, I was having a great time.
That you don't want to talk about the movie anymore?
Dude.
Kinda.
Fucking stupid movie.
And we'll get into that.
Did you like it?
We'll get into that. Okay, so for the movie, we did the 2012 film Maniac, and this was from a list that I sent to you. You picked it off of there. Had you heard of this? It wasn't a list,
it was 2 movies.
Well, it was 2 movies, whatever.
Completely unnecessary interjection. I'm so sorry. Why?
What drew you to pick this one specifically?
Why
did
I?
Or I said you could pick your whatever you wanted, but those are 2 that I wanted to do.
Well, I wanted to accommodate you. It's good for me to watch new movies. I'm always showing people movies, so it's like it's time for me to watch something new.
Do you feel like that was worth it? How'd that go for you?
No.
I have not seen it either, so don't hold this as like part of my taste or something too.
What made me pick it? I thought I was in a mood for a horror movie. The trailer looked cool, and usually I know by a trailer if it's going to be good. Like I don't mean to sound arrogant, but like I really do. And when fellow filmmakers are like, "It looks so good in the trailer," I was like, don't you know how it works? Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
And this honestly was one I was sort of duped by.
You got pranked.
But I might not have watched it thoroughly. I mean, look, it looked cool, and there's something cool about it, and probably the best version of it is a 2-minute coming attraction, the sizzle reel.
Yeah, so don't hold this as part of like my taste or anything, because I didn't know anything about this.
I don't care. I'm sure that like a lot of horror fans love this. And
Maybe
people
so,
who like to beat off to a certain kind of thing love this. And
But this isn't what you would beat off to, is what you're saying?
I might. There is one scene I might.
Okay, so you hadn't seen this before. You didn't know about it. You just picked it because I said.
Yeah, and I thought I was in the mood for a horror movie. But over COVID, I had COVID this past 2 weeks. I binged that Dahmer show on Netflix, and I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I won't be watching it.
Why?
First of all, I'm not into true crime. Second of all, just all the stuff about it being like re-traumatizing and stuff to the family. I just don't really want to support it.
Well, I'm a piece
Sorry.
of shit. We've already established I
am not into true crime, and I think the way people approach true crime is kind of fucked up to me.
I think the show had its merits.
Sorry to make you feel called out. That's what I think, though.
No, it's okay. I'm accepting the blows. But yeah, the first 5 episodes are truly inexcusable. Like I watched it, I devoured it, but I get that it's just shameless murder porn. So, but I was sick of it. Like, I did enjoy the show. I love the performances. There's a certain kind of trashy show that I like. Other people have the Kardashians and shit. This is just like a show that spoke to me and scratched an itch, and obviously scratched America's itch because it's #1.
Yeah.
And, you know, people have a need to watch this kind of material for whatever reason, and it's not just horror fans. I don't know. I had an idea. I was wondering too, like, why do we need to watch stuff like this, especially about when it's like actually happened and these are real victims. And I don't know. I think the culture might be so traumatized by those serial killers that you almost need the release of seeing it again. Or having it explored in a safe format, whereas the victims don't. I'm not saying the victims want that, but I'm saying as a culture.
I don't know if people who take in so much of that information or who are like obsessed with true crime even associate those actions with real human people. I think it's disassociated from real humanity, and it's like just like a cool story to people.
I definitely think that for the doc.
Not thinking about like the real horror of like seeing a dead person in front of you, or like seeing somebody dismembered or stuff like that. It's not like something I think is really going through people's minds.
I think that for a lot of the documentary stuff, like the court stuff and the grisly murders, but did he really do it? That stuff I do think is like in one ear out the other. For some reason, I don't know, the Dahmer show personally made me think about these things in a real way. And especially when it branched off into, because the second the second half of it is like exploring the ramifications on society and all the little people that had to be affected by it, or, you know, not that they're little people, but the people in the apartment.
Normal sized people.
The cops, correct. And you know, his dad.
Average
and look,
height and build.
It's trashy, and it pays lip service to being like a socially conscious thing, like about white privilege and all that stuff. But it was interesting to me, and like getting deep into his psychosis and especially the sexual aspect of how he was turned on by the organs and stuff, and like actually shooting the organs as if they're like sexual objects. It's disgusting, but it penetrated my mind and my consciousness and my understanding of the history of it in a way that the actual documentary stuff doesn't. So to me, it was like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer mixed with the Queen's Gambit. But okay. I say all this because even though I enjoyed the show, I was worn out from it. As I say, it did get into my psyche. It really fucked me up. Not to overshare too much, but one failed attempt at love making with my girlfriend during COVID. You know, it doesn't always work when everyone's sick, but everyone is in me and her and the cat watching us. But I just...
Who's just sick in the head.
I was sick in the head because I was thinking about the organs and the dismemberment on the Dahmer show as I'm
But that didn't work for you.
I mean, in terms of turning me on. No, it was horrible because I was actually thinking about my girlfriend's organs, which is, you're not supposed to it was icky.
Yeah.
And so this ties into Maniac because I just didn't want any more murder stuff. And I had just seen that movie Smile, that horror movie Smile that just came out. I had seen that the night before. And I was just I was really worn out. Like I always say, I want to watch horror movies, especially Halloween time. But I like I really do like the old Universal monster movies a lot. And now they have those movies on Criterion. So I that's kind of what I want. I like Beetlejuice. I mean, I've dove into the really fucked up horror stuff, and I think when you're younger you can take more of it, but I really, as I get older, I'm less interested in violence. I have less of a taste for it, and so by the time I had to watch this movie last night, I was just I really was not open to it, so I'll admit that, and I was just all right, let's go, here we go. But it didn't do what the Dahmer show did for me in terms of actually putting me in his mindset. And
you were still able to get horny after Maniac.
Am I?
No comment.
Am I being judged?
No, I'm just making a goof. You said Dahmer fucked you up so much you couldn't get horny anymore, but Maniac, I could still get horny. So was it that good? Who knows?
Did you find it erotic?
No.
You didn't find it erotic at all?
Maniac?
Yeah.
No.
Do you acknowledge that it is an erotic thing?
Okay, so now what's happening is you did get horny after Maniac, and now you're embarrassed from being horny after Maniac.
Well, I mean, do you watch that and not understand that it is there is an eroticism to it? In the same way all slashers are erotic and horn
I think
doggy.
they're maybe erotic for men. Yeah.
No, come on. There, a lot of people get turned on by stuff like that, including women.
Maybe so. To me,
it's predominantly male for sure. Yeah. But to say women don't have fantasies like that,
maybe so.
My girlfriend kind of likes it.
Yeah, that's fine. If that's their thing, it's not really for me. Yeah, it's not that thing for me.
Right. Well, I'm glad you think it's fine for other people.
Everybody can get horny to whatever they want. And that's kind of your thing to do.
Okay.
I'll say, though, I'm not really a straight up horror person either. I don't really like watching horror movies. I don't seek them out that often. Not straight up horror. But I am really big into twisted, fucked up movies or movies where things are happening that could be considered horrific, but the film isn't horror, or a different type of violence I can get behind. But this is just silliness. I'm not really a straight up horror person either. Something is disturbing you.
No. I like horror. You
just like monsters and older. You're not this type of horror.
I do. I mean, Halloween is, if it's a great movie, it's a great movie. Halloween's a great movie. It's great slasher movie. I don't love slashers in general, just as something that I fetishize or am super drawn to specifically. I like all the big dick horror. I'm sorry. You know what? I double down when I feel like I'm being judged, or I'm I'm being
not
perceived.
Judging you.
Maybe I'm being perceived as the pervy guy. So now my the way I'm I'm talking is I'm shoehorning dick into, or whatever.
I'm not judging you, and it's okay if this made you horny or anything made you horny. That's fine.
You're right. Yeah. So
you're still feeling judged.
No, I'm judging myself. I can feel my girlfriend becoming unattracted to me in the next room.
Don't be nervous.
I love Carrie, The Shining. Rosemary's Baby, all the movies that people say
those are kind
of
of different.
Best horror movies, right?
Yeah.
But I like silly ass horror movies. I really, you know what I crave? The dumb Stephen King movies. Mm-hmm. I like the Stephen King movies he likes. Mm-hmm. You know, like he doesn't like The Shining. He likes the TV miniseries The Shining because it's closer to the book. Mm-hmm. You know, he has silly cameos in them. Mm-hmm. You know, they're trashy, but they're fun. I love that he has that sense of humor about himself.
Yeah.
And I like those I like, fun, campy horror movies. And I as I said, I like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. I think that's a great movie. Mm-hmm. It's not something I revisit a lot, but and I like going real dark, not for darkness sake, but it's dark in a way that it's not trying to be dark. It's accessing a certain area of life that is true. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to set up shop there or you would kill yourself, but to at least for a little bit acknowledge it and like scratch that itch. Probably going back to the Dahmer show, but Dahmer is more superficial, but I'm talking about like movies, art, music that gets like really down in the pit of your subconscious and just like, there's a lot of horror in life. And like just for a little bit, just like rub your nose in it. Yeah. And then you can come out, but there's something necessary for certain people. A lot of people don't have this need, but I think a lot of people do, and I do. And whether or not it's like a need, I don't know, but it's a place that I go sometimes. The House That Jack Built by Lars von Trier. I don't know if you like that movie.
I haven't watched it. I'm not really watching more Lars von Trier either.
You're not a Lars von Trier fan?
Well, he just has problems with women that I don't agree with.
I understand that, but I also think he's like one of the greatest.
Does he make good films? Probably. I've seen Melancholia, and that's it.
I don't think that's one of his best. I think it's a good one, but dude, you got to see Breaking the Waves. You got to see Breaking the Waves.
I'm sorry that I disagree with all the things that you're saying.
Breaking the Waves is one of the best movies probably ever, in my opinion.
I'm just now realizing all the stuff that I boycott subconsciously.
And there's a lot of love in it.
Okay.
There's I'm sure he has issues with women. I would bet that he has issues with people in general. Mm-hmm. But I also think there's a lot of love in it. And I mean, this is a larger discussion. I'm going off on a tangent, but about, sort of discounting creative works because of the director or someone involved, which I get. Mm-hmm. Like Louis C.K., for instance. If you cannot forgive him for what he did, totally cool. I'm not going to try to convince you that he also does good work. You know what I mean? And you should just value that. Mm-hmm. But I think when it comes to something like Annie Hall, like let's just discount Annie Hall. What happens to Diane Keaton's performance? Mm-hmm. What happens to Gordon Willis's photography? There's innocent bystanders. And with Lars von Trier, I'm sure he has done fucked up shit, especially in regards to women. But, Emily Watson, her performance is like transcendent. Like on the level of Gina Rollins in Woman Under the Influence, or pretty much anything she does. Like she this is an iconic performance from Breaking the Waves. So when it's like fuck Lars von Trier, again, I'm not trying to be prescriptive or like, I totally understand what you're saying, but to me it's like, what happens to her performance if you're just like wipe away his body of work? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Yeah. So anyway, back on track. I do sometimes like to go to those very dark places, and those are dark places that Lars von Trier now sort of lives in. I wish he would make at least one more movie about love. Breaking the Waves, to me, there's total hellish darkness in it, but it's about love at the core. The House That Jack Built, I feel that there's love in it, but it's love for the art form of, and his own relationship with it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, totally dark, totally penetrating, and you're affected for days after watching it. I think Maniac was not that to me. Yeah, it didn't do that, and I don't like that it has this air about it that it is doing that. Like, oh my god, I'm like in his head. Like I'm committing these atrocities. Whoa. You've seen the British show Peep Show?
No.
Oh, Peep Show is the best. I think you'll like it.
Yeah.
Binge Peep Show. It's one of the funniest shows and so depressing. But it's this exact same aesthetic of you are looking out of the character's eyes. So like the camera is the character's eyes. You know what I mean? So it's first person in that way. And characters only see themselves when they look in the mirror. It's the exact same format as Maniac, but Peep Show does it so much more effectively. And I found it to be just ineffective. It wasn't aesthetically annoying. I mean, it definitely couldn't have been longer than it was because it's sort of dizzying and it gets old.
In this movie?
I think so, yeah. But it just didn't have that effect of like, oh, I'm in his head, or oh, I'm there.
Well,
but I want to know your feelings.
Yeah, let's back up just a little. I'm gonna pin that, and we'll come back to that because I first want to go through a little bit of the crew on this because there's some star crew.
Music by Rob.
There's music by Rob. Okay, so this is directed by Frank Calfoun, who directed the movie P2. I don't know if you'd seen that film. I saw it in theaters when it came out and hated it. So I think if I had known even the crew on this, I may not have chosen this. It's also co-written by Alexandra Aja, who directed Crawl and Horns and High Tension. Co-written by Gregory Lavasseur, who co-wrote Crawl as well, and P2. I also didn't like Crawl famously, so we're just getting a whole bunch of people who have made stuff that I don't like. And the cinematographer Maxime Alexandre also did Crawl and High Tension. And then starring Elijah Wood, of course. I think I've only done one Elijah Wood film for the podcast in the past, which was I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore.
I haven't seen it.
It's good. And then this has 53% on Rotten Tomatoes and 74% of Google users liking it. So it's still like generally kind of favorable reviews. Mid to favorable, which is interesting. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, this is a remake of the original. Have you seen the original Maniac from 1980?
No. Is it good?
Personally, I liked it a lot better than this, but I saw this first before I found that out. I didn't know it was a remake. I truly knew nothing about this film except that the poster had Elijah Wood looking scary on it, and I go, I want to watch that. So that was literally the only thing I knew about this movie going in or putting it on my list even. I had no idea about anything else. So you haven't seen the original either?
I have not.
Okay, cool. I like the original a lot better, and I find it to be much more effective. The original filmmakers of the original version, they back this. They're behind it. The director, William Lustig, is credited as a producer on this remake, so I find that interesting. I think the whole concept of doing a remake is kind of interesting.
I was just going to say, why?
Yeah.
Why do it?
Like, imagine watching a movie and then going, that was like okay, but I could do this. He didn't, I could do it. And then just doing the same thing, but kind of fucking it up.
Trying to think of really good remakes.
They have to exist. I don't know. I mean, the only one that's coming to mind right now is Funny Games, but it was the same director shot for shot, you know?
Right. People like Cape Fear. It's not my favorite Scorsese, but that's a remake.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just find it interesting.
It's strange.
But yeah, there are a couple major differences between this and the original. One is that this is set in LA. The original is in New York City. The other obvious huge difference being that this is first-person POV, which is what you were starting to talk about when I stopped you. So they said when they started doing a remake, they started working on a remake of the original film, that they wanted to modernize it, and the way that they chose to do that was through doing the first-person POV. I also didn't love it. I think it's really inconsistent. And if they were more consistent with it or executed it differently, it maybe could have worked. But I think going through the plot here, we'll get to some of the inconsistencies, but yeah, I really didn't love it. Have you seen any other first-person POV films that you can think of?
You know, Peep Show is the one.
Oh yeah, Peep Show you mentioned.
The TV show. Films. I've seen like amateur, first-time filmmakers try to do it, and it to me always feels like a ripoff of Peep Show. I can't think of one that tries to do it for almost the entire film.
I did one for the podcast called Hardcore Henry, and I think that one did a lot better job of it than this. There are a couple like really big issues that come out. Like, first of all of his dialogue is ADR. Right. That sucks. It sucks to listen to, and it feels like disingenuous because when he's doing like, I'm getting hurt or whatever, you know it's just him like sitting. I watched a video of him doing it, sitting on a bed, like pulling his own arm, going, and saying shit into a microphone.
Well, it's quite canned.
Yeah, it just feels, more fake and kind of takes me out of it. Hardcore Henry the main character didn't have any dialogue. They didn't speak.
Yeah.
Probably they did that to avoid this situation, but I felt like it was more effective that way. They could have done that with this one easily.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think it worked. It didn't work for me, but it felt consistent with the tone of the movie, which was there's a certain artificial feel. I mean, all of the dialogue is bonkers and stylized, and it's this different reality. The women have this ditzy dialogue, but it's all, it's certainly not naturalistic, and the things they're saying are quite silly, and his performance is quite silly, but the dialogue to me seems consistently stiff and like intentionally awkward or unreal, and almost not theatrical, but it felt like it was going for something. It wasn't something that was particularly interesting to me. And yes, there was something kind of grating about, what is she doing? I'm watching her. Oh no, I'm hurt.
Yeah.
Why?
There's too much dialogue. There's too much dialogue, and it's all ADR.
And there's not a lot of dialogue, and there's too much.
Well, yeah, because a lot of the stuff he's saying out loud is like, if you were in that situation, that would be in your head more, and we just don't need it to be said. I kind of wonder a lot with this film, because they were able to cast Elijah Wood, who's like, a major actor, and that was probably a huge selling point for this film, or a huge way that they got money for it or whatever. I wonder if they hammed up a lot of the stuff just to sort of promote him being in it, I guess. Like with that, like having too much dialogue, giving him more of an opportunity to like quote unquote act. But also how often they show his face in this, even though the camera perspective is through his eyes most of the time. If I saw my face that many times in an average day, I would have major depression.
Yeah.
I mean, the way they always find a way to get his face into the shot, it's like forced. It's way too much.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you need to break it up. Like, it would be impossible to watch if it was all first-person POV. But my girlfriend made an interesting point, Colleen. I feel like just humanizing her and just keep
Give
saying
her a
my
name.
girlfriend. Colleen Rose Trundy, brilliant actor. She mentioned, like, whenever it cuts to an omniscient point of view and you see him, it doesn't feel like there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel purposeful. It's just like, we have to cut it up. We have to break it up. We have to break up the monotony. And there should be like a reason, like an intention behind it. So I thought that was jarring.
That's part of the consistency that I am talking about too.
Right.
Like, it's inconsistent. Like, if there was, a meaning, like, okay, when he kills, he feels like he's outside of himself watching himself do it. Okay, I could see that. That could be like something you could put onto this, but that's not what's happening. It's kind of almost at random sometimes. You don't know when it's going to happen, or it happens in one instance of a certain thing and not another. Yeah, it's random. Yeah. And why would you do that? If you have a first-person POV, either commit or don't. I don't know.
Right. And then the whole thing about the mannequins, he takes these women's scalps and glues them to mannequin heads. I did like the detail that he's at war with the flies that circle around the decomposing flesh, that he's attached to mannequins. I liked that he hates the flies that gather around that.
But are the flies
creation.
Like? I was curious about the flies. Are they only in one room of his house? Because he starts battling the flies and then invites. So he meets this other photographer lady that likes photographing mannequins. Only photographs mannequins, she says. Yeah. And he invites her to his house to take pictures of him, or to his whatever storefront, I guess, where he also lives, to take pictures of him, and the flies aren't an issue then.
So we have some fly inconsistency.
We have some flies inconsistencies. There's a lot of inconsistencies throughout the film, and they all kind of drive me nuts. I watched it twice now, and I get
Ugh.
more nuts the second time. I also watched a making of featurette on this film. I'll link it in the show notes if anybody wants to watch. But I think it just even more so pointed out some of those things that I didn't like about this to me.
Yeah.
Okay, let's kind of go through what happens in this movie a little bit. We've kind of touched on some stuff, so I skip a little bit. Let's go to the first kill. The first kill of a woman he saw on the street and followed home. This was my favorite kill of the film, I think. When he stabs her through the bottom of the chin and you see the knife in her mouth, too. I thought that was pretty sick. What did you think?
It was okay.
You hated it.
I didn't hate it. It was just like, all right.
It was fine to you.
I was tired of gore and violence by this point of my life, I guess.
By the first kill, you were already sick of violence, and then you had 8 more to go.
Yeah. I admit, as I said, that I did not come at this with a totally open mindset. But yeah, it was good, I guess. Yeah, I was...
Compared to the other kills in this film, though, would you not say
there was another kill that I thought was a little cooler.
Okay.
A little more effective to me.
Oh, interesting. Okay, we'll get there. So she starts to scream. He stabs her through the bottom of the chin. She instantly dies, and then he takes her scalp off. Most of the effects in this film are practical or practical that's been digitally superimposed. That, I think, was the only one that was pretty much fully digital, the knife, but the scalp was still practical. So that's interesting. They say that he fetishizes the scalp because he has memories of brushing his mother's hair.
Interesting.
I kind of became surprised that there's times in the film when we see him washing his hands with like a steel wool or like a, I don't know, some kind of like steel sponge. He seems very opposed to having blood or any kind of shit on his hands at all. Don't you feel a little surprised he didn't wash the scalps? He let them just be bloody all over.
Interesting. I guess it was a little sloppy of him to not wash the scalps. Especially if he had that issue with the flies. Seemed like a pretty good workaround.
He could have just washed the scalps. But then he's got blood dripping down all these mannequins. I guess it looks cool, but
right.
Just it doesn't seem to fit his character.
Yeah, well, there is no character.
It's pretty thin anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
The second lady that he goes to murder, this is probably the longest relationship he has with somebody who he murders, besides the French girl. They meet off of a dating website where they first start IMing on AIM.
Wow.
And his screen name is I Am Timid.
Right.
That's great humor. Come on.
Yeah.
You're not having it in any way.
We've established I don't laugh, I guess.
It's so funny you forgot to laugh.
Your beautiful cathartic laugh has to make up for the both of us. There we go. Oh, well, soothing.
Stop.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's always fun when they do computer stuff in movies because they are so often, has anyone ever used a computer is what you think when you're watching it.
Right. Well, this was 2012.
Well, still, we weren't on AIM in 2012. We were many years away from AIM.
But that's what I mean about this being a different world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a very heightened reality. And it is effective, I guess, in the sense that it feels like a fever dream or a nightmare. So those sort of bugs or inconsistencies don't bother me as much.
It's just a silly little thing.
Yes, it's a silly little thing. It's all silly.
The casting of Elijah Wood stirred up the horror freak community, I guess, because they thought he was too hot to be a serial killer. The guy in the original Maniac was like, let's just say he looked a lot different. He was like a chubby Italian guy, a little older. You know, it looked a little more maybe the part, I guess.
Well, who's the Ed Bundy, or who's the serial killer that was kind of good looking?
Ted Bundy?
Ted Bundy? What did I say? Ed Bundy? Emma Watson? Yeah. I know it's not
Carmen
Al Bundy.
Esposito.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah,
this is
I
great.
know.
No, keep doing the name. You do the names like you're so close. You're like so close, but you're just like a little wrong.
It's my entire career.
No, that's amazing. I think that's
so
really
close.
funny.
Yeah, so there it is. Oh, I'm bathing in it.
So so you think he can be hot is what you're saying?
Yeah, why not? Yeah. I mean, I think that they're good-looking serial killers probably. I mean, it's also a strange thing for 2012. Like almost the AIM thing almost works because the serial killer is kind of timeless, but at the same time dated. Like in real life, like we're at the
being
school
a serial
shooter.
killer is so out. Like it's over. Like what are you doing being a serial killer in 2012?
There's shooters now. There's mass.
There is one serial
shooters.
killer currently happening in California somewhere.
Oh, really?
I just saw stories about this recently.
I guess it's hard to totally go out of style.
Yeah, but it is old school.
But
it's retro. It's so retro
It's
to
retro.
be a
It's
serial
such
killer.
a throwback.
TBT.
Yeah, right. It's such a hipster thing to be.
It's probably just like so hard to do now.
Right. I mean, Elijah Wood. He's good. But it doesn't need to be him. Like it is definitely a star.
He's too good for this movie. It's not
Possibly.
bad. It's not his fault that it's bad. The movie
No,
is
it's
bad,
not.
and he was placed in it, and he's done what he can. But
Yeah. But yeah, it doesn't have to be him.
Mm-hmm.
It could easily be someone who's less. Probably would be better if it's someone who's less known
Mm-hmm.
but has like a really distinctive face and vibe. I mean, I keep going back to Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. I don't know how known that actor was. I'm not even going to attempt to remember his name. I think he was somewhat known, but he just is that guy. Like you see him, he's not like a major celeb, and you just are like, that is the guy. That's the face. That's the voice. That's the energy. And Elijah Wood isn't that. But it's not his fault, And
Yeah.
you know what? It's not even really the movie's fault because you need to fund it somehow.
Yeah.
And that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you got to find a way to muddy the guy up a little bit or tweak the performance in some way. And this felt like a very, baby, clean, fresh Elijah Wood. Like, I don't know, put some soot on. Soot. Is it soot? What do you call it? Soot?
I think soot. Yeah.
Put some soot on him. Fuck up his teeth a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, make him look a little scarier.
Yeah.
They thought it would be more scary to have him have a serial killer who's looking like Boy Next Door cute versus having a serial killer who looks like a serial killer. They thought it would be more scary. I didn't find that to be true personally. Also because not only, whatever, he's like classically a little more hunky than a serial killer type. Okay, but if you think about he's in this restaurant or wherever he is with these women and he's always like being weird. His vibes are being weird. He's like having panic attacks, but like breathing weird and making sitting there. Has to leave the room. He's sweating. So I still think of him as like, even though we're not always like seeing his face, I think of him as like kind of like a sweaty, like nervous, shifty looking guy sitting there. So I still don't think they would maybe be as attracted to him as they are.
I mean, I guess in this fever dream world, he needs to be attractive so these girls just throw themselves on to him. But I think there's like a different kind of attractive that might have read more like a Safdie brothers attractive, where like the guy could be a total creep, but he's kind of hot. He's kind of got that edge.
Like an edgy hot instead of just like a handsome young boy.
Yeah. I mean, I think there are deeper problems with this movie than Elijah Wood's face, but
and we'll get there. But
yeah, sure. Yeah.
But that's just one thing. And also in some scenes, he has like really fucked up hands too.
Yeah.
But sometimes he doesn't, and that's another thing that I found inconsistent.
If I was a woman on a date, I think I would notice the bloody knuckles.
His hands are all cut up, bloody, like fucked up looking. Yeah, I've noticed.
But maybe some people like that. Of course, some people like that.
Maybe. The girl that he goes on this restaurant date with that he met on AIM, she was interesting. She's like a Hot Topic, like e-girl with the largest lip ring I've ever seen. And she invites him into her apartment and plays Goodbye Horses on the record player.
Is that in Silence of the Lambs?
Yes. It's like very famously in Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, right. So why...
It was a little much to me.
Yeah.
Although I watched I skimmed through this other video of a guy's podcast talking about this film and how it was so amazing. And they got to that part and they go, he played that song from Silence of the Lambs on the radio and like that was fucking sick. That was so sick, dude. And I was like,
sounds like a typical guy.
It was 4 guys actually.
Ugh, even worse.
I mean, if you like it, I guess. But I just thought that was a little. I thought it was kind of cringe, to be honest.
I think you have an opportunity to play something different. I don't know. I don't really dig regurgitating other, things from other films. I get homages. I get, I snuck into Amsterdam, the new David O. Russell movie, and just like watched a little bit. And I was like, I kind of do get this. Like, it's like a nod to noir and like these sprawling, the glamour of classic Hollywood.
I think that is such like a direct reference. Like having that song, it's so like on the nose. You might as well have had the character in here. But like there are ways you can do homage or do a nod or a reference that are way more subtle.
it's like if you had a comedy and there was a goofy animal in it, and every time you saw the animal shaking its tush, it would be like, "It's all right, nobody worry about me." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like, why?
It was a lot.
It's like when those horrible parody movies, like scary movies like that, kind of, it's like when they started parodying comedies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, did you ever see any of those? Like, it's the parody of the 40-year-old virgin.
But...
Yeah, it's like, how do you parody so yeah, it's like, how do you lift something from another horror movie? And it's like that other movie I saw.
Yeah.
I mean, look, but having said that, it did work aesthetically, and to me, the mise-en-scène of it was there.
Oh,
sorry. As I said it, I was like, I sound like a film school teacher.
Breaking
or
out
something.
The French.
You started it with the je ne sais quoi.
Oh, I did. That was a long time ago. That was the old me.
Yeah.
But they also have such a good composer on this. I know we ragged him for being Rob, but the score is probably one of my favorite parts of this film.
Yes, the score keeps it together.
It rips. And that making of thing that I watched, unfortunately, the composer is French, and there were no subtitles because of the way that I had found this making of documentary thing, that I didn't know anything that he said. And I wish that I knew what his concepts or ideas or thoughts behind doing the score for this film were. Unfortunately, my French... I only know a little bit.
Right.
So couldn't get much from it, but I wish I knew more. Anyway, we hated the Goodbye Horses thing. So part of what happens with the way that they filmed this, being that POV perspective, is that a lot of the times when we're seeing his hands or his feet, or most of the time even, it's not Elijah's hands. It is sometimes one hand of Elijah's and one hand of a body double. And it is sometimes the hands of the cinematographer. So in that way, too, you can tell the difference between the hands a lot of the times. Yeah. And especially, I feel like when the cinematographer's hands are the hands, he is 10 years older than Elijah Wood, and his hands look old.
Clearly a man.
Clearly like a rugged man, and not just like a soft young boy such as Elijah, who is older than both of us.
Get away from her.
But the first time that is super apparent is the titty grabbing scene, where she's like naked and he's just doing a lot with her tits, whatever. That is the cinematographer's hands, and he's just doing...
Let me do it. Come on, let me do it.
Yeah. This one I'm going to need to do, boys. Yeah. It's camera stuff you wouldn't understand.
Leave the room.
Yeah. We make him like an old Brooklyn guy or a Chicago guy, even though he's very French, man. But yeah, you can tell there. And that's like the first time where we see his hands are all fucked up too. But only moments earlier, we've seen Elijah Wood in the mirror at the restaurant washing his face. So we see his hands there. They're clean. They're clean, white, pristine hands. And even when they're in the living room before that, we see his hands for just a moment. I think he's like grabbing a glass or something. She tries to give him a drink, and clean, pristine hands. And then we turn around to grab her tits. Suddenly they're bloody. So that's just another one of those things.
Okay. Yeah. No, yes, I agree. Yes, right. Yeah.
You hate talking about this movie.
No, I don't. I just no, I like it. Let's, keep going. Yeah, rein me in.
You're having a terrible time.
No, I'm not. I love this. I do.
And you're lying.
I'm not.
And you're lying
I'm
when you said
not.
you're not lying. So
I'm going to be so depressed when this is over. I'm going to be like so depressed.
Shut up.
Because I was like, I was just getting ready to talk about myself more. Yeah.
You can, if you have a story to relate. One time I grabbed a girl's titties and my hands were all bloody too. I totally see myself in this.
Yeah, well, this isn't a meeting, so I won't be sharing those stories.
Okay, yeah. It would be a first for you to publicly share some kind of private bedroom information.
That's a joke, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, right. You're a jokester.
I'm a little trickster clown.
Has anyone told you should do comedy?
Shut up. I just don't think I would be good at it. I don't know.
I think you would be good. Go up there with a story, and I think you're likable.
Thank you. I don't
It's
know
big.
if I have stories that are, especially these days, I hardly know what to talk about. I don't do shit. I sit at home and watch movies by myself that are so
Sounds
fucked
like
up and nobody else has ever watched.
Sounds like a fun life in your fun apartment. Is this an apartment or a house?
It's it's kind of both, I guess. I live in one of those kind of places where like it looks like a house, but it's split up into units. You know what I mean? So it's not like an
Yeah.
apartment building, but like it is units.
I just love your life, and I wish I could sample it. And just being John Malkovich to you.
I don't know. I don't know if it would be as interesting as you feel like it is.
Yeah, just to escape my fucking self for a little bit.
Aw. Just sit around and watch movies. You just sat around and watched movies for 2 weeks while you had COVID, and you said you had the worst depression you've ever had in your life. So
Not in my life, but yeah, for a couple. I don't know
take
why
a
I
little
need
peep
to
into
correct
my
that.
brain.
It doesn't matter, dude. I'd love to crawl around that brain of yours.
I
and-
sit around in my
I'd love
apartment
to
and
pick
watch
your brain.
fucked up little movies all day long, and don't
I love
talk
when
to people. Don't know how to anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't watch any good movies though. I watched HUD with my girlfriend. She had never seen it with Paul Newman.
I've never seen
And that was like it.
Don't know what
I
it is.
tried watching a Satyajit Ray movie because he's like one of my favorite directors. I tried watching something that, and by the way, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right because I'm a moron, but
It's probably close, but a little off.
what do you think? I'm holding up a book of his lectures.
Satya.
Yeah, I got in a fight with my girlfriend midway through and got an email that I lost a job.
No.
So like I was like, I can't right now. I can't watch this. So yeah, just Dahmer and fucking goofy, mediocre comedies to try to just escape myself and wash out the Dahmer.
Yeah.
Let's get back on track.
Okay, so where were we? We did the titties. He gets a little bit of a BJ and then murders this woman and takes her scalp off. And long, juicy scalping.
Yes.
The longest and juiciest, I think, of the film.
So when she's giving him a BJ and she's naked and there's titty touching, how can you not acknowledge that this is erotic or it like would be erotic for a lot of people?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
It didn't feel sexual to me. The whole thing is weird. She was a weird character anyway,
Yeah.
and then just I don't know. I think it's like kind of tropey or something to like do the thing where you leave the room and come back naked.
Yeah.
Like this, I don't know. I've never seen that done well in real life. Or successfully. He's not really into it, and she's kind of pressuring him a little bit. None of it feels like, oh, we're getting like hot and heavy now, you know.
I didn't mean be like, why aren't you like attracted to the like I just mean like it's to me it's so inherent to these type of movies that it's a fusing of violence and sexuality.
I mean, clearly the whole thing is, it is fused for him. Like, he has some weird sexual attraction to his mom, and this whole thing is him, like, playing out that weird fantasy or reclaiming his trauma and turning it into something strange. So, it is based in sexuality for him. It is, like, a horny thing.
And for us. Not all of us, but for a huge percentage of the people who are watching this movie.
Maybe so. Yeah.
You don't think so?
Probably
you like
so. What?
You like Halloween, right?
Yeah, Halloween's it's a good movie.
Halloween's okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. But that's like such it's the girls are in skimpy outfits and, you know, they're shot in from like, you know, titillating angles and stuff. Like it's a part of this genre.
It's usually more, they're shot from a male perspective. They're shot more like exploitatively or like from a creep's eyes. And I am averse to creeps. I've been creeped on and I don't like it. I don't find that sexy.
Yes.
You know?
It's not, again, I'm not saying like, why don't you find it sexy? I'm just like, you can acknowledge that this is
a male
like
fantasy, yes.
You keep saying that. It is a male fantasy, kind of, depending on which male you're talking to. It's probably in most of them, but I just don't think it's only a male thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though I get the male gaze thing, I just don't. I think it's something that like a lot of women have rape fantasies. You know, like, and the thing with the gaze thing is interesting. The male gaze thing. I think that there's a different kind of. There's a difference between something that's like erotic in a good way and something that's kind of piggish in like a man-centric kind of way. Like David Lynch, for instance, Mahala Drive, like that's a sexy movie. Like a lot of his movies are sexy, like, but it's like classy. You know what I mean? And everyone can be turned on by it. You know, and it's like tasteful. It doesn't feel like it's like from a pervy angle. It's hot as hell.
Yeah.
But it's like everyone's in on it. You know what I mean? It's like for everyone. The women are into that. It just feels like an all-inclusive, healthy dose of eroticism. Whereas like, I don't know, like a National Lampoon, like Dorm Days 2, or like or you know, like some trashier slashers, it's very much like, yeah, let's shoot her tits from like up high and we can see down in her cleavage, or like make her run and so her tits bounce, and you know, like that's more of a sort of piggish male thing, which, you know, I don't exactly judge, but that's much I get why that's grosser, and I find it grosser, but I also am turned on by things that gross me out in a way, kind of. not like stinky socks. I don't mean that. I just mean like 2.5 Men is very hot to me. Like something, because it's so evil. Like it's so trashy. It's so objectifying to the actresses. The worldview is so nihilistic and gross, and it's like the inside of a McDonald's bag. But like, that's hot to me because it's so depraved. And I hate it. And if I beat off to it after, it's and by the way, not full episodes. It's like the clips. And if I do that afterwards, I immediately put on the most sensitive, lovey, like Towns Van Zandt song or something to like reel me in.
I'm getting ready
and like,
to beat off. Let me go on youtube.com and search for clips of 2.5 Men.
Again, not as uncommon as you think. Look, it's not my go-to. It's
probably good for if you're afraid of being caught. No, babe, I'm
what?
just watching 2.5 Men. It's normal.
No, she would call she'd get me in a psychiatric unit if she saw me just like lounging around watching 2.5 Men. It's what I like now.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. That's great. No, I celebrate that for you.
Like I'll watch like this like shit that just like, I hate it. Like I'm like, it's so wrong. Like Bang Bros or some douchey thing, and then it'll end, and then I'll like immediately go to a Towns Van Zandt lovey-dovey song that I probably have queued up. So it's like total gross misogynist crap, and then like, you know that I still love you. You know, doesn't mean that I don't love you. And I'm just like curled up on my pillow, like almost shedding a tear.
You like to do a little crying after J-O-ing.
No, I don't like it. It's the duality of life.
Nothing wrong with that.
My porn searches aren't especially misogynistic compared to what some of my, like I've talked to other like male friends, and I'm like, oh man, you're fucked up. I judge you.
We'll not get into that.
Okay, all right. I'll stop. I'll just be your court gesture of perversion, and you can keep your cards close to your chest. I should probably keep it closer to my chest. I don't know. I feel compelled to talk about certain things, I guess. I don't know.
You can talk about whatever you want.
I was so stupid because I was like, I'll admit I took a little bite of an edible when I was watching this thing, and there was this girl you're talking about with the killing, and she has like a lot of tattoos, kind of hot topic-y, a lot of piercings.
Yeah.
And I don't know, she came out naked and stuff, and I just was like, for no reason at all, I was just like to my girlfriend, did you know that I'm not attracted to tattoos. Like, and then she just like looked at me, and I didn't realize she was looking at me with her mouth agape. And then I looked at her, I was like, "Not yours. No, I love yours." I was like, "Why did I say that?" Like when you just sort of like, yeah, but she's not like this woman we're talking about. That's like a porno search, like tattoos.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Her tattoos
like
are fake. They have been like placed onto her for the film. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Like just like covered in tattoos. That's not particularly my thing. But like you, my girlfriend's like, "Why do you need to tell me that?" Like it's just when you're stoned and like self-indulgent. Like, did you know that I'm not like, it's like, really? I was always wondering that about. That's such an interesting facet of your personality. Back to the film.
Well, a lot of people do fetishize them.
Everything's fetishized.
A lot of people don't give a shit. I once dated someone who told me if I got a tattoo that he would no longer be attracted to me.
What a winner.
But then I got many tattoos, and guess what? That wasn't true. So
there you go. There you go.
You know, who can say? Okay, the movie. I guess the next interesting thing would be like the entrance of the woman he like falls in love with, the French girl. Mm-hmm. We get like the first piece of like backstory on what's going on with him there. That he's like a mannequin restorer.
And we've seen I didn't even put that together.
That it's like his shop is like second generation. It was his mom's shop. She restored mannequins, and now he does that. But he also has like a bedroom full in the back of mannequins that he is in love with, that he's stapling all these scalps to. And when he does that, we did get like a little bit of a delusion of one time when he stapled the scalp onto a mannequin, they looked real to him for a little bit. I don't know, maybe they're real to him, but the ones in the front are normal. And that's a little bit of story we get about him. His mom died, and he has this mannequin shop now.
Well, also, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun, but he had to watch his mom have sex a lot because I guess she was sex worker, right?
I don't know if she was
a lot of guys.
I think she just was getting around a little bit. I don't think she was a sex worker. I think she just liked having sex.
No, because remember when he was like, "Why'd you do it? For money?"
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
But she also seemed to like be having a good time. She was doing drugs. She's bringing all these guys home. She was banging guys on the street.
Yes, and the kids just watching.
Yeah.
And old Rob, the composer, when it's the second flashback of him as a child watching his mom get fucked. Mm-hmm.
And we've all been there.
Why do you think I'm jerking off to 2.5 Men? It was her favorite show. And
shout out to Mom.
What was I about to say? Yeah, Rob, the composer, when the kid, the second time he as a child is looking at his mom get fucked in the street, and then he turns away and walks, and it's Rob's score turns into, it's like circusy music. Like it's like at one time it was children's music, but it's been the postmodern usage of it is always in like a horror setting. And like, so for Rob to go there, I wish I could fucking do the melody, but for Rob to put that, like, it's like taunting, like, evil clown music or something as the kid's walking away, it really heightens your sense of this kid's trauma.
Yeah, being a kid who's traumatized by his mom having sex all the time. But not only is she like having a lot of sex, but she's constantly like, shut up, go away. I think that's probably more traumatizing than just like your mom is having sex there.
Well, not just that, sometimes it was like, look at me, like she almost wanted him to look at her.
And she's like unfazed by him watching. She still seems to be having quite a good time even though he's watching, or maybe because he's watching.
It was so hot.
So maybe those things are more traumatizing. I don't know.
Yeah.
He meets the French broad. He's in love with her. She's different from the other girls.
In what way? In what way is she different?
She's more modest. She's blonde. She's French. Yeah. All of these things setting her apart from the other girl. She's an artist, and she likes mannequins, which he also likes. So they have one thing in common.
Her art was pretty cool.
It was interesting. Well, like the art was fine. Here's what I thought when he goes to her art show. This is like way later in the movie, but when he goes to her art show and she had borrowed all these mannequins from him to install in her art show and does projections onto their face of her face. That was hysterical to me. They looked so stupid, and they just looked so dumb and bad with these projections of her face on them. It was like all distorted. It just looked really stupid. And then he makes sure to mention it, like, oh, is that your face projected on them? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, that's awesome. It looks really cool. Yeah. But I just thought it was so corny and dumb.
Yeah, right.
That was funny to me. You disagree?
There was a lot of humans turning into mannequins, and I didn't dig that.
Yeah. So we got another kill in here, and this is the girl that he finds, I think, on the train. He starts following her on the train. They get off the train, and he's, like, running after her, basically. Those shots were done on a Segway, which is kind of silly but fun. I found it interesting when I was watching that whenever he's following these women at night, I didn't know that it was LA at first, but I'm like, they seem to be in a major city. They have public transit. There are no people on the street, like, not a single person on the street. That's, like, one of the things about living in a major city is that there are always people on the street. Right?
Is LA like that too? Because
No.
I only know New York. Yeah.
No. So then when I found out it was LA, I was like, okay, I can kind of believe this then. Because I thought it was New York at first. But yeah, LA, you might pass a person on the street at night, but there's really not many, at least not in my experience.
Okay, so that was kind of accurate.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was kind of accurate, actually. But yeah, so they go into a car parking lot. You get that scene of him cutting her Achilles heel from under the car. It's like she's walking, you see her pass behind a wheel, and then the first step of her leg past the wheel is like a fake rubber leg with a joint that's made to go the wrong way. So when they cut it and it like her ankle kind of breaks or whatever, that was kind of gross. It was kind of fucked up looking. Did you cringe?
A little. I don't like stuff like that, really.
I don't like stuff like that either.
So what was the next interesting part?
We're over that murder. The next interesting part is the date with him and the French girl when they go to the movies.
And they see the cabinet of Dr. Calamagari. Is that how you say that?
Caligari, yes.
Oh my God. I can't get one thing entirely right.
No,
but that's
it's funny.
when
It's cute.
That,
you just mess it up a little bit. You're always so close. No, that's great. I love that. I wish you would keep messing stuff up just a little bit. Because you're so close every time. That's what's really funny. You have it. It's in there. You know it.
Yes, you think. Yeah, that's when I knew it wasn't New York, when they show a theater that says the cabinet of Dr. Calamari. Because I was like, yeah, that's not a movie theater in New York.
Yeah, that's the Palace Theater in LA.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, they go to see that. And I just wanted to watch that movie. When they were showing it, I was like, we just have to watch that because I've never seen it. And I'd love to see it in a theater. And I was just like, I would so much rather be watching that movie.
Yeah.
I jested with my girlfriend that I wish that he had just been watching that movie and we could watch a better movie through his eyes.
But he starts watching it and then it turns into like, I don't know, a projection of a memory or something. It's like he watches himself doing one of his murders.
Yeah, artsy bullshit.
I was trying to figure out what theater it was too, because I've been to a lot of theaters everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, what chairs at a theater in New York City look even close to this?
Right.
So yeah, they have like a little date. They go to the movies at 9 p.m. She's been flirting with him this whole time. Then they come out and she answers the phone and she's like, oh yeah, my boyfriend's at a bar. He wants to meet up with us. This felt like an afterthought to me.
Like in the writing?
Yeah.
It was weird. At first when she did that, I was like, oh, she's such a tease. Like, why would she... Mm-hmm. I mean, a tease not in like a sexist way. Like, really, like, you teased him.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is legitimately, you let him on. Like, anyone would say, this was odd that you did that. You've been flirting with him, and now you're just like, oh, my boyfriend.
She's accepted jewelry from him. She's, like, wearing a necklace that he gave her that he made for her.
Yeah.
And asks him to go hang out at 9 p.m. at the movies together, just the two of them.
Yes, and then go meet her boyfriend. But then when he was like, no, and then she's like, please, come on, please. It almost felt real to me because I could see that in a weird courtship with like a hip girl in the big city. Like, it's this teasing, and then it's like, oh, I have a boyfriend, but you want to hang out with my boyfriend?
Yeah.
And like, you know what I mean? Like, that didn't feel completely off to me once that scene progressed.
It just was strange, though. I don't know. It felt like it was wrote in later.
Yeah.
Another weird, this is just like a weird shot, but there's a shot of him standing in front of a mirror when he's like tilting his head side to side. and the whole camera is tilting too.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. Your whole view doesn't tilt when you tilt your head.
I did think about that.
And
I was
weird.
like, well, if you're looking at someone, I get he's a serial killer and he's obsessive, and so he's just going to stare head on at whoever he's talking to. But when you're talking to someone, like, you look around.
Yeah.
You know, so it just seems like such a tedious aesthetic, or like a
try and maintain.
to do. Yeah. It just I just would imagine just being so done with it. Like if I was the DP
Yeah.
or the director, like at the end of the movie, like the production, I'd be like, never again will I ever do something like this again. It just gets so tedious.
I think they had so much fun with it, actually. I think
Really?
the cinematographer was like obsessed with just like playing. I think it was very playful to them. Like they're playing around with different cameras, different techniques. They got different types of harnesses involved.
Yeah.
There's one point later where there's a car accident, and what happens is that they hit Elijah Wood with the car and he flips over the car. But since it's POV, the camera is doing that, right? So they like had this whole contraption of like a little ball that was like suspended so that the car could hit it and the camera was inside the ball and the ball could bounce around the car or stuff like that. So they like got all these contraptions involved, and there's so much like choreography involved between Elijah and his body double, trying to figure out how to have a pair of hands in the view of the camera that are two different people's hands, but they have to read as one person's hands. So sometimes they are handing objects back and forth to each other, or they are two hands choking someone out or whatever, that they have to work together in such a way that the choreography became like a huge part of it. And just like, it's almost like I don't know, you see like people taking like movement classes or something where you have to do like weird like movements with each other and like, let's become one, moving our bodies together or whatever.
Right.
It just felt like they were getting really wrapped up into the play of it all. And I think that they were so wrapped up into the play and the fun and the goofiness of the actual execution of doing POV that we lost a lot of like the movie because of that. Like
A lot of the consistency.
And the feeling that we could have gotten, or the performances from the actors. Even like, it's so much different acting when you're looking someone in the eyes versus when you have to talk into a camera and say lines by yourself, because the person who's doing the other set of lines is doing his in ADR. He's not talking to you know? So,
well, which is why it's actually kind of smart that they decided that the dialogue would be really off kilter and the performances are really stunted. I mean, the performances it's like porno acting sometimes, but in a way that got tedious. But I didn't think it was like the wrong move. Like it would have been more of a disaster if they had tried to get these actresses to respond naturally to nothing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it felt deliberate, and playfulness is great, and I need a movie to feel alive and lively and innovative, but it doesn't always make for the piece as a whole to be
so I think like on set they had a great experience. They're having fun, they're goofing, they're doing all this crap, but like it doesn't necessarily come through in the movie. It doesn't serve the film. Isn't
it funny when you see a blooper reel and the bloopers aren't even that funny? Like, and it's like, look what a great time it was to make this movie, and really people are just like, so did you say action? Okay, like that's like the hilarious blooper, you know.
Sometimes it's like, you had to be there. I mean,
right.
Yeah, so that's that shot with him doing the head tilt in the mirror. That was weird, I thought.
Is that a nod to Michael Myers? Because the famous scene in Halloween where he like pins the girl on the wall and then his like head cocks to one side like he's studying her.
I didn't think of that, but it probably is based on what we've seen in the rest of the film. I would say that would make sense. Yeah. There are other times too where even though we're POV, we'll get like a close-up of something. We get a close-up of his hands a couple times, or just things are zoomed in. And the director was like, well, sometimes you do like kind of, I don't know, you're focusing on one thing, so you're kind of zoomed into it even though your viewpoint is more of a wide shot or whatever. So I think if they're going to say that and do that, like we focus close up on the hands sometimes because your brain does that, then why wouldn't they also apply that to him looking in the mirror? And that's consistency. Okay, so after her art show, we meet her boyfriend for the first time. Basically the only POC in the movie, and he is an evil villain. which is great. We love that.
Yes.
Their interaction in the bathroom is so strange, where he's like, oh yeah, she loves hanging with her gay friends so she can hang with men and not worry about getting fucked.
Oh, that's the part about exploring his white male fragility when you have the intimidating black dude.
Yeah.
And being like, you're gay.
Yeah.
And then he wipes his meaty hands on his lapel or whatever.
Yeah. He just wipes his wet hands off on his jacket and then like does a maniacal laugh and leaves the bathroom.
Yes.
You're like, what even was this? This is weird.
Well, it's getting into his psyche.
Yeah, I guess so.
This is a whole movie.
You know, I also, like, in real life thought Elijah Wood was gay for most of my life.
Really?
I don't know where that came from, but I just thought he was a gay man for the longest time. And then I think maybe when I was doing research for the other Elijah Wood movie that I saw he was, like, married and has a baby or something. And I was like, that's so weird. I thought he was gay this whole time. Never was. I don't know where that came from.
I remember in Eternal Sunshine because that was like my favorite movie in 6th grade and like up until a long time. And it was like a formative movie for me. And I remember always kind of wishing he wasn't in it. And like I don't know if that was like his character's pretty unlikable and annoying, so he's perfectly cast. Like he's perfectly cast for that role. But at the time I remember I had like some slight aversion to him and I didn't know why.
So you didn't like him forever.
He wasn't someone where I'm like still to this day I'm not like fuck yeah Elijah Wood, you know, but it's like that like who's his name? Like I don't know why I'm blanking on everything. Ewan McGregor.
Okay.
Is that his name?
Yeah, I think that's actually right. I think you got one.
Right.
Aw.
Like every time I see him, I'm like, I know he's a good actor, but he just doesn't interest me.
Some people, I think everyone has these actors who just like have a face or something that is just not, you don't want to see them. I have some.
Yeah.
You know, who's the guy that's like James Bond now, the British guy?
Daniel Craig.
Yeah. I hate him.
Right.
I can't watch him.
Well, he doesn't do very interesting projects.
There's not really something I can pinpoint like why. It's just one of those things. But I think everybody has those people.
Yeah.
Elijah Wood, though, one of my first favorite movies that I remember having in my life, Elijah Wood stars in, which was Radio Flyer.
Did you say favorite movie? Okay. Radio Flyer. I've never heard of it.
1992 film. It's got Tom Hanks, Elijah Wood. It is kind of like a deeper cut, I think. I was a child. He's a child. I was a child when I saw it. I have no idea if it holds up. I have not watched it in probably 20 years or longer. But when I was a kid, I watched it 1,000 times. I loved it so much. It's mainly about Elijah Wood and his younger brother in the film. They have an abusive, alcoholic stepdad, and they're just trying to like make it through. It's like all through their perspective. I don't know why that was relatable to me at the time. We won't get into that. But that was one of my first, like one of the first films I remember being my favorite film. So I don't know if I'm like super like crazy into Elijah Wood or something, but I would say I have long-term fond memories.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should rewatch that film. Okay, so we met the boyfriend. He's an asshole. We also meet the manager, the French chick's manager, who's also an asshole. And this becomes the next victim.
Yes.
He follows that manager home.
She's older.
She's a little older, and she has this night at the gallery. She's an asshole to him, and then goes home and like blasts Ava Maria and gets in the tub with a glass of wine. Hell yeah.
As all middle-aged women do.
Yeah, pretty par for the course.
Yeah.
He comes in and first hands her wine when she's not looking, and then drowns her in the tub a little bit. He soft drowns her because she doesn't die. Just a light drowning. Elijah has said that part of the film was the only time when playing a killer kind of got to him a little bit, like having to hold an actual person underwater by the neck while they just hold their breath and die. That was the only time when it felt real, you know, to him.
Right.
I just thought that's interesting. A lot of the dialogue in that area is all just like directly ripped from the original. All that stuff when he does that monologue about her needing to sleep with all those guys and oh, did you think you could change your hair and makeup and I wouldn't recognize you? All that stuff was from the original.
This was the scene I found most erotic.
Well, it is basically like kind of soft porn. Like he ties her up in such a manner.
Yes.
You were interested in the tying up.
Of course.
Yeah. And then kind of slowly drags that knife across her back. He was being
That's when I got a little
playful.
bit like I was wondering, am I going to watch this later when I'm alone? And I it was like the tying up was like the big thing. But is that particular position that it's not all
You'd say
I
that's
don't
your
like,
favorite position.
Oh, when like the feet are tied up in the air like that. Yes.
Hogtied.
Hogtied? Wow. Yeah, that one. I don't like all forms of being tied up, but I'm going too deep in this. But yeah, but yeah,
we're
the
finding
knife.
out all your fetishes on this ep.
You know what? I'm
Ladies?
just like letting it ladies. No, I'm just like letting it rip. I don't know why. I'm just like, don't give a fuck.
Because you feel
anymore.
comfortable talking to me.
Yeah, right.
It's my fault, actually. I pull this out in people.
Yeah, right.
I do. That's actually true.
That's good. That's good that you do that. You make people feel safe and
People want to tell
give
me
them a
all their secrets.
give them a platform to embarrass themselves. Well, I'm not telling you everything I've ever thought. This
You're
is
holding back
measured.
some. Okay.
I'm holding back a lot. And
We'll get that later off mic.
No, we won't. It's over off mic. Like if we were just having coffee and I kept talking about what I beat off to, like you would be like, you would start looking around and like, what? Like, am I safe with this guy? Like, but yeah, this is a format where we can do it.
Because we're not in the same room. We're physically
We're
separated.
not in the same room.
So it's safe.
There's a computer.
Yeah.
It's elevated. Everything. I find sometimes there's certain people we
You're
can have.
used to going on the computer to see what you jack off about.
Yeah, not by choice. I mean, if I could never jerk off again, I'd love that.
Yeah.
But I hate myself. But no, I'm just kidding. I'm reel it in. I'm awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
Affirmations. I love jacking off. Jacking off is good.
Not for me. No. I can't lie. I can't lie about that. I don't love it.
I think it seems like it would be fun for guys. I don't know.
I guess. I don't know.
You get tired.
It's like
of
taking a
being
shit.
horny.
It's like taking a shit.
Yeah.
It really is like that. Like it really is like that.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of how I think about it too. It just seems more functional for men.
Interesting. Like how so?
It's just easy. You just do the thing. It comes out. It's over. You move on with your day.
Right. Or you hate yourself just a little bit more. Yeah.
Oh, maybe so. Well, being horny for men is also a little bit. There might be shame involved these days, especially.
Oh, you mean because men are evil now?
Yeah, or it's just more talked about how gross men are. I don't know if that gets internalized. I don't know.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
White straight male. Yeah, you're basically walk around like you're Elijah Wood in Maniac. Like that's how you feel. But the knife. That was when I was like, okay, this isn't something that I like. There would be a snippet of this I would find hot, but I don't like it when it's like gets gory like that.
Mm-hmm. When he's cutting. Yeah,
that's where I kind of like, ugh. Mm-hmm. But that scalp, when he rips her scalp off, that was the one for me. That was effective and triggering because like there is an eroticism to it. I think I get triggered by movies that by the way, I'm you in other situations. Like people dump everything on me, but because the dynamic is different now. I'm the interviewee.
You're the dumper.
I'm the Dunphy dumper. So yeah, that was erotic and horrifying to me, and yeah.
She was still alive during the scalping, which
I know,
the other ones
that's
had
what
been
was like,
dead.
wow.
Yeah, it was.
But it was also
really good.
It was also the backstory of him needing that revenge on his mom and all that shit.
Yeah,
that it's just like triggering.
Yeah,
for me
because you also need revenge on your mom.
Ugh. Who doesn't? No, she's a great woman.
That's another time when we also get the camera going outside of his perspective as well. When he's like laying on her back.
You know, there's a whole
what?
There's a whole category of porn that's like moms talking to their sons as they get fucked.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, revealing the search history.
It's like,
and
it's
how
like,
is it?
Hun, ugh. I mean, it's there's certain things. It's like I can't help but ugh.
So
it's
you
like,
enjoy
honey, I've talked to your bully Derek, and we have striked a deal. Derek's not going to bother you any. We have striked a deal. He's not going to bother you anymore, sweetheart. And then she starts sucking his dick. She's like, look at it, honey. Look at that big bully dick. He's not going to steal your lunch money. And I'm just like, ugh.
Wow. I guess there's a porn for everything, so I shouldn't be surprised. But I just never would have even considered that would be a genre, I guess.
I was talking to a female friend of mine, and I don't know. I just was like, you know, we talk about sex sometimes, but it's usually I go deeper than her. But she likes to, like kind of like this. But she likes to, you know, giggle at my fucked up, crossed wired situation, I guess. And I was just like, you know what? I used to think that, you know, as you say, there's always a porn. There's a porn for everything, and everyone's fucked up. You know, you can tell that by the porn industry and how you can type in anything and see it, like stinky shoes or whatever. You can there's a porn for that. So everyone's fucked up. I'm not special. And then recently, I've been thinking like on the spectrum, I'm probably a little more fucked up, or people aren't. Or people aren't admitting, which I think is a big thing. Like, I think people like to be perceived as normal, and
oh yeah, people aren't admitting. That's the thing.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, which they shouldn't have to.
Haven't you,
that's people's private business if they want.
Don't you ever get in a relationship with somebody and then you find out they have some weird sexual thing? That's never.
I'm waiting. I am totally ready for it to know what it is, but yes, and it's like it's that trust level of like, can I bring you into this?
Yeah.
Do you want? And yeah, I mean, but it's good to just, I think, with another person to try to get away from your sexual, like your fetishes and your fantasies. Like, not that it's not fun to, explore your fetishes and like scratch that itch and let your freak flag fly. But if it's all about like I mean, that's why porn is so insidious, is because it gets into your mind. Chris Rock has that great joke where he's like, porn makes you sexually autistic. And it's just like, you need your thing, and it needs to always be this certain way. And something that was really great when I started dating my girlfriend was like, just being in, because she's very like in the moment, and like just being with the other person on like a flesh to flesh level, and just being into them and not having to attach this larger fantasy, this situation I might have seen on 2.5 Men, and like just letting it be like bodies and people and like making love, not to sound like that about it, but you know what I mean? Like, it's healthy to, and then you can dip into the fan. You're gonna, I mean, for me, like, inevitably dip into some of the role play and fantasy stuff later, but it's good to get out of that thing where like, it has to be this way. I have to attach this fantasy to all sexual situations. So yeah, I hate porn. I hate what it's done to me. I hate, but we're the porn generation, kind of.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Do you think there was a generation before us that was so exposed to porn?
No, not in any way the same way that we've had access to porn. Well, even the generation after us they have the most exposure to porn. Or maybe just people who are a little younger than me, because I still, like, I spent a lot of my childhood with no internet still, or whatever. So these days, people probably have the most access to porn than ever. But I think there are still, like, it's not like porn didn't exist or that people couldn't find it. They were just doing it in different ways. It was like you had to seek it out. And if you did have, like, a strange fetish, I don't know how easily accessible that type of material would be,
It took so long for me, like, probably whenever I started looking up, like, when you'd play Sick in like 5th grade, and then you have the iMac all to yourself, and like type something into Google. I know it was like the first thing was like women, and then it became naked, not even women naked, just the word naked, and then the word sexy. And I remember for years just the film Sexy Beast popping up when I type in sexy. I'm like, I don't care about this Ben Kingsley movie. I just want. And
I also think we made do with things that weren't as porny, or like, you remember there was all that stuff about like making websites for every time a girl showed boobs in a film or whatever. What movie was that in?
Mr. Skin.
Yeah, and it's
in Knocked Up too.
So it's like that was like such a huge, like, anytime you saw something even remotely erotic, or like that could be construed as erotic, or a scene in a scripted film that is not porn, that's just a regular movie, like that became sort of porn, or something that you used in replacement of porn versus like actual porn. Because I just was thinking, the first thing that I remember seeing was the movie Wild Things with Neve Campbell.
Oh, I just watched that for the first time. Oh my God.
And going, this is my porn. I will watch this pool scene with Neve Campbell for the rest of my life.
Pool scene didn't do it for me as much.
Whatever.
I'm not as into the girl on girl, but
well,
yeah, that scene in the motel with the three of them.
Yeah. There are points in the film that could be construed in those days as pornographic. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
you found a different way to utilize the materials you had. But these days, it's so easy to find. We've never had more access to porn, or different types of porn, or any kind of weird fetish it's also easier to connect with others who may have that,
Oh God, I don't do that. That's like I can only imagine.
Well,
I mean,
if
I don't
that's
want to
something
make
that
anyone,
you were interested in, I just mean
I don't
like
want to make anyone.
you could
I don't
find
want to
communities.
Right. And I don't want to make anyone feel bad, but that just seems like the depths of loserdom to be commenting on Pornhub and like talking to other people like she's good in this one, or like I don't know.
You don't want to find the 2.5 Men community.
I wish she was my grandma, right, fellas? I don't know.
Or like, I just mean like there are also like meetup groups or sex clubs or like sex parties or stuff like that are more centered on people with certain types of fetishes and stuff like that, to where it would be easier to actually like physically connect with others. And that way, whereas like before internet, that may not have been quite as easy.
I see. Yeah. What a glorious age we live in.
I'm going to a comedy show at a swingers club next week, which should be interesting.
You gonna swing?
No way. No, not a chance. Not a chance, but it seems like people fuck at this place. I don't know. I think there's like a floor of the place where people just go in rooms and fuck. And they,
there you go.
do whatever. That's not going to be me. I'm going for comedy. But I'm just saying, like, these places exist, and it's interesting that they do.
You're going to be the one person watching the comedian. They're just going to be performing only for you.
Well, my friend is the comedian, so at least we'll have each other.
Right.
I'm only going because my friend is doing the comedy.
Yeah.
But anyway... Where are we in this movie?
Tied up the mother figure.
Yeah, he kills
got
mommy.
Her scalp.
Mm-hmm. We don't see her die on camera, but the French girl then calls him and is upset, distraught by news that her manager was murdered. So we assume that her dead body was found. And he's like, oh, I'll come over and be your comfort. I'll comfort you or whatever. Uh-huh. The least comforting vibe of anyone. This guy who is like constantly having panic attacks and migraines. And somehow she kind of finds out that he might be murdering people. I think the way that it's revealed is kind of, I don't understand quite how she came to that conclusion. But whatever, she feels like he's the murderer. And it starts getting intensity there. The hand doubles of it all and the body doubles come into huge play in this apartment. Because there's a lot of like him being tossed around the room or trying to touch her or slicing somebody with a knife. There's a lot of doubling going on here. When he gets there too, he meets one of her gays that she was, I guess, notorious for having. And that gay had announced that he had just gotten a national commercial for
toothpaste.
For toothpaste, yeah.
Wait, was he a gay? I thought he was just like a lover.
No,
I thought that was her boyfriend.
Absolutely a gay.
But they kissed.
I don't think they kissed. Maybe they did a cheeky.
Yeah, they did. No, I think they did a full
Maybe they did
kiss.
A non-sexual, he's not going to fuck me kiss on the lips. He's definitely a gay, and because she's in a fight with her boyfriend who has left the area.
And then
you had lost it by then.
he gets what's coming to him with those precious teeth of his.
Yeah, well, he even says like, "Oh, don't you know this toothpaste?" Like, ding, and does like a smile and does the ding. When he does that, there's a lens flare that gets on his teeth too with a little. So it's perfectly aligned, and then he gets chopped in his precious chompers that were going to be a national campaign.
Nice.
But somehow lives. He gets huge meat cleavered to the middle of the head and lives and gets back up and lives to fight Elijah Wood for a little bit.
Yeah.
When we saw the first murder, she like barely got stabbed in the head and died instantly. So what's the deal there?
I don't know. I really can't answer that. I probably tuned out at this point.
So yada yada yada. He kind of suffocates the woman, takes her out to a van. Nobody sees somehow, and then in broad daylight, she jumps out, stabs him with a mannequin's hand, and jumps into somebody's car, and they hit him. And then their car instantly crashes, and she rolls out of it. That was such a weird sequence of events.
Yes. And then he goes and kills her, right?
Yeah, he scalps her there.
Why did you do it? Why?
Why did their car crash? Why did the door just open and her whole body fell out of it afterwards? I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess the actress really struggled with that part because the makeup she had on, the like cuts and blood and stuff, made her sick.
Oh.
But yeah, she dies anyway. She dies, and she becomes his mannequin bride.
Oh yeah,
her scalp does.
Is that how the movie ends, or does he get killed?
He gets ripped apart by all the ghosts of the other girls.
Oh right.
Yeah.
So it's not even real anymore.
It's not even real. Yeah. So all the ghosts of every girl that he's killed comes back to life, rips him apart, but underneath his skin and crap is just like mannequin stuff instead of guts.
He's a mannequin.
He's a mannequin inside, which has been like a hallucination or something that he's had throughout the movie, is like he looks down and part of him is a mannequin. But now he's gone full Manny.
Sounds like a derogatory term for mannequins.
Manny.
Manny.
He's gone full Manny, and then the cops find him dead in the closet. In the original, the ghosts of the women actually pull him apart, and they've got intestines and all kinds of stuff. It looks really cool.
This didn't look uncool. I mean, we should say the effects are pretty good.
They are generally pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's always nice to see someone's face get ripped off of them and they're still alive beneath the face.
Yeah.
How often do you think that happens? Like if your face gets ripped off, you can still be alive?
Yes.
That does?
I would think so, if only for like a couple minutes. But like what part of that would kill you?
I don't know. The shock?
The shock.
You go unconscious?
The blood.
Not a fun way to go either
Not
way.
a fun way to go. I don't think you would live for a long time, but I think as long as your skull was still intact, that you would live.
A few agonizing minutes that feel like eternity.
But your head also bleeds more than the rest of your body. Like, blood comes out of it more. So I think you could bleed out easier with a big part of your skin missing on your head.
And did the guy in the original, was he a mannequin underneath?
No, that's what I'm saying.
No.
They ripped out his guts. Like, he was full dude with guts, and they took all his guts and they're like putting them all over them, and because that's all in his head, right? Because those are all dead people. They're obviously not ripping him apart in real life. Oh, and they rip his head off too. But when it comes back to the, I don't know, quote unquote reality version of what's happening, then when the cops come in, he's just a guy like sitting on the bed.
Oh yeah, right.
It's more ambiguous in the original Maniac if he's dead or alive. He's not moving, but we don't really know. Mm-hmm. But in this one, it's clear, like, Elijah Wood is dead, like, in his little closet.
Did you ever see the horror movie May? I think it came out in 2002.
No.
It was directed by Lucky McGee.
I know about it, but I haven't watched it.
Yeah, Anna Faris is in it. It's a good one. So that's a good, disturbing horror movie. And the last shot of it kind of reminded me of this. This is like a worse version. The last shot of that movie, reality and nightmare meld in a much more beautiful way, like in a way that's actually beautiful, like emotionally beautiful, but also horrific. Yeah, I'd recommend that one.
It's been on my list. I haven't seen it though.
Jack's pick.
So that's pretty much roll creds.
Roll creds.
Roll creds. We made it to the end of the movie. I got two fun facts about this film left. One is that this was an official selection at Cannes,
of course,
in 2012, which I think is so ridiculous.
Won the fucking monkey, or the humping monkey, crying lion, horny leopard.
And then secondly, I think is just funny, the budget on this was $6 million. Box office was $26,826. So I just think that's really funny.
It's a bomb.
That is like worse than a bomb.
Bad at math, yeah.
Straight up throwing $6 million out the door.
Yeah, well, at least it got the prestige.
Yeah. So I just think those two things are funny, but that's all I have to say. Do you have any other thoughts?
No, I think we've pretty much covered it. I feel almost sad that we've reached the end of this journey that started last night for me watching the movie and is ending now. And I'm going to be sad to have you out of my life and have this film out of my life. And even though I didn't care for it, it's just, opened up so many doors for me intellectually and in this conversation. So
yeah, you have fond memories.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, do you want to rate this film out of 5? What do you think?
It's a one bagger for me. No. If you're a non-cinema fan.
I've never seen.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Didn't like it much.
You got to rate it out of 5, so what do you pick?
2.
2. Mm-hmm.
Give it 2 for, I guess, the special effects, trying to do something different. It was effective in certain moments. Rob did good on the score.
Shout out to Rob.
Shout out to Rob. It's effective for certain people. I'll give it a 2.
Okay. I agree. I also go 2. Pretty much for same reasons. I guess they tried something. The soundtrack was good, and the effects were good. Not all that impressed by most of the kills. Not really connected to any of the characters in any way. I probably wouldn't recommend it to anyone. I don't think anyone should probably watch it. The original is pretty decent. I liked it a lot more than this. This one, not it for me. Now it's time for ScreenVomit. And that part of the pod, we just talk about whatever else we've been watching lately. Movies or shows or whatever. So you've mentioned a couple, but what else you've been watching?
You know what? I don't watch that much. It's really a problem. I watch the Twilight Zone like every night.
The original?
Come on.
Imagine if you were watching the remake every night.
Oh, Jordan Peele. As long as his name's on it, it's quality. It's a real mindfuck. Yeah, I don't know. I really... Okay, let me think. I just saw the movie Smile, the horror movie.
Did you like it?
No.
Hell yeah.
Very pessimistic outlook on insanity.
Yeah.
Because the message is basically your mental illness will always control you and get the better of you and kill you.
I love to stigmatize mental illness.
It's well, because it pays lip service to like, that's what it's really about, is like, could you imagine like having mental illness? This represents mental illness, and everything's about like she has to face her trauma to kill the demon, which is her mom's suicide. And it's just like, I don't know. I don't like horror movies that are about something.
Yeah.
You know, and I actually kind of like a good mainstream horror movie that's not this fucking elevated horror or art house horror. It's in 4:3 and shot on 16. I don't need any of that. But I
name one
that I don't need.
No, name one that you like. Mainstream horror movie that's not art house. You're saying you like. So what? Name one you like.
None of them.
You just said.
No, I think I want to watch it. Like at the end, like right before sleep. And I'm scrolling through HBO Max, and I'm like, oh yeah, this would be cool. Like the possession of Emily Exorcist, or like the Annabelle 4, or like the Conjuring 8. You know, and it's just like I get 1 minute in, and I'm like, yeah, this is fucking boring.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I always
that
think
not
I'm
gonna
like it. By the way, obviously, I'm not against artistic good horror movies. I just I don't like the pretension that surrounds them sometimes. I saw a review for Nope, the Jordan Peele's last movie, and it's like, Nope, Jordan Peele's Nope isn't just about UFOs. And I'm like, of course not.
Yeah.
We get the genre. That's the genre. And it's cool that that's a genre now. Like black horror movies where it's like the subtext is like racism and like that is a cool new subgenre of horror, but just this thing that it always needs to be about something that's like a very simple metaphor, that's a very binary AP lit way of like understanding it,
and
like
have
this,
like some social commentary.
Yeah, or like this represents mental illness, this represents aging, this represent, you know, like what's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre about? What's Halloween about? It's about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But it doesn't need to be in the forefront. Like this, here is the subtext. So this is a valid movie. So The Smile was like a mixture of mainstream, bland, you know, regurgitated horror with some cool effects and some interesting, I guess it did some interesting things, but it paid lip service to that thing of here's the subtext. The subtext is about mental illness. And if the subtext is about mental illness, if it really is like a public service, it certainly has a bad message at the end. So that was whatever. I saw a little bit of Amsterdam. As I said, I snuck into that. I walked out, and you know, I'm a bitch. I'm really like a bitch. I'm trying to think of something I really liked. I really wish I could think of something. And it's my own fault for watching or not watching good things or not watching much of anything, I guess. You say something and then maybe something will come to mind for me.
Why don't you watch more films? What are you doing with your time?
Because I make films. I just like...
But didn't you get into making films because you loved film so much?
Yes. But something happens when you're making movies where like at certain stages, I just don't know a lot of other filmmakers who are still watching movies. Like production of a movie. Well, first of all, if you're in production for a movie, you're not doing anything except being on set and working your ass off. So there's not a lot of times. There's no time to watch movies. But leading up to that, even for me, it's like that part of my brain is off. And I'm sort of in the thick of what I'm doing. And I don't want too much outside influence, except when you're stealing things. Like when you're working with your director of photography, it's easier and most helpful to just show examples of what you're thinking. And so you watch movies in a sort of practical way that's not just for your own enjoyment, piece them apart. But okay, theater. Movies I've seen in a theater, because I go to see movies in theaters that I really want to see.
What are your fave theaters?
My fave theaters in Chicago, the Gene Siskel, except I couldn't go this weekend because A, I'm sick, and B, too many of my friends have movies or are in movies there, so I'm just like gonna be jealous. And
you don't want to support your friends, you're just mad at them.
Oh God, no.
Hell yeah.
God, no. Unless it benefits me in some way or I'm like tangentially involved. No, God, this isn't true. It's mostly true. But
that's your fave. What other fave?
I like the Music Box in Chicago. It's out of the way, and I wish their selection was like a little better. But it's been good. It's been turning around. Those theaters, I love going to Landmark for sentimental reasons, but it's kind of out of the way for me. And I like a big dumb AMC, like popcorn diarrhea
There's
on the
not a lot
ground.
of AMC's in the city. You kind of have to go outside a little bit.
Of Chicago?
Yeah.
Well,
There's the one
AMC
downtown.
AMC River East 21
Yeah.
that shows like a lot of weird movies. So I saw Lost Highway for the first time at the Music Box.
Hell yeah.
Not my favorite Lynch, but certainly fun.
I love Patricia Arquette.
Oh, God.
Just in general, I'm obsessed with her. So
Yes.
I am particularly a little more fond of that film
Yes.
for that reason.
Oh, I saw Freaks. I mean, I've seen it before, but
The like
so
1930s
fucking
movie.
good. I believe it's 1932. Todd Browning.
Yeah.
Fucking great movie.
Yeah, that's
So
really good.
Fucking good. It's a really beautiful representation of that, especially for the time. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible that they did that and put those kind of people on screen.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's just incredible documentary footage of like a guy with no limbs, like rolling a cigarette for himself with his mouth. And, you know, and it's funny that it had to be marketed as a horror film.
Yeah.
You know, like there are scary parts, deliciously dark, ominous, and scary, but it's when they're exacting revenge on the villainous, normal, quote unquote, normal woman. But for the most part, it's just a loving, beautiful portrait of these people that get a real shit deal in life. Love that movie.
Yeah. Even just giving those types of people a platform at that time and that era, like you can't deny like how important that was culturally. Yeah.
Right. I want to plug someone else.
Okay.
Jordan Tatuski, our friend.
Yeah.
His movie, which he co-directed with Josh, what's his name?
Pekovsky.
Nothing against Josh. Well, they both have hard to pronounce, goofy ass names, and not hard to pronounce in your book. I can't pronounce.
My mom's maiden name was Rakuski, so I guess I'm just used to it.
Emma Watson. So Emily Watts. So how am I going to pronounce tattoos? I look. I'm pronouncing both of the names right. They're beautiful Slavic sounding names. Hannah Haha, great movie.
They were both on the podcast and talked.
I know.
about
That's how I got. Isn't that how they recommended me to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jordan recommended your shorts to me.
Yeah, Jordan just shot a short film of mine starring my girlfriend Colleen and Jesse Pinnock and myself. And Jordan's a goofy guy and a good guy, a talented guy, nice guy.
Yeah.
Eccentric.
You're just singing Lizzo's Boys to me.
Yeah, there you go. Boys, I don't want to need you. Boys.
He's a good guy.
I just want to freak you. I almost know the lyrics to that because I recorded myself singing it for my little niece.
Aw.
It's a good song.
Okay, so you're done with what you've been watching, correct? I have things that I can talk about.
I know. I'm sorry. I'll let you talk.
We've tangentially gone all over the damn map here.
Yeah.
I came in with mostly shorts this week, which is not always the case. So I've seen some cool shorts lately. All right, first one, Executrix. New Katie Skelton. Have you seen? I feel like you might like, actually, personally.
No.
Are you familiar with Katie Skelton at all?
Nope.
Interesting. Okay, she's a short filmmaker, but I love her shorts. But she's got a new one called Executrix. The person who wrote and starred in it, Dana Kaplan-Engel, actually passed away before the short got to come out. But the short is about her grief of losing her mother. So it's like There's a short about her grief of loss, and then while they're promoting this film, they are suffering grief and loss. So it's kind of like a weird thing going on. But I love the short. It's really good. Highly recommend Executrix. All right, I watched a short called I Wish There Was a Guy Term for I Love You. This is kind of a documentary, which I'm not always huge on documentaries, and it's a short. But it's just like gay men telling their stories about places they've had to go to feel safe being themselves. And I just thought it was really powerful and interesting, and I liked it.
Cool.
I rewatched a short called Brad Cuts Loose. Have you seen? Do you watch shorts at all?
Not really.
Not really. You just make them.
I told you I'm a fucking dick. I live that. But
there are some that are culturally important.
okay. Yeah.
Executrix, I do think you would probably like. Brad Cuts, I don't know, I guess what your taste is even, but just based on the things that you make, I feel like you would like it. I don't know. Brad Cuts Loose, I love. It's by this filmmaker, Christopher Good. I'm a big fan of his work. It stars Kentucker Audley and Tipper Newton. Love both of them. God, it's gorgeous. It's weird. It's like doing weird crap. It's about kinks, exploring your kinks in a way. So I love that short. Brad Cuts Loose. I would love to continue to support Christopher Good's filmmaking career in any way possible because he needs to make more movies.
Good.
Screen sharing.
Well, can you pronounce this name for me?
Dan Schneiderkraut. That's what I would think. Dan Schneiderkraut.
Dan Schneiderkraut. He's my friend. I met him at the True False Film Festival. I want to give him a plug because he needs his due. Makes this awesome movie called Vore King. That's a feature, and a lot of really cool shorts. I would definitely check him out on Vimeo. Can you pronounce his last name again?
I think it's maybe Schneidkraut.
Yeah, Dan, if you're listening to this, I love you. I'm so sorry I can't pronounce your last name right. I'm like as we've realized, I've seen I'm barely functioning at an adult level. But all right, I'll try to stop share screen.
All right, I got two more things. I saw this short, The Diamond, which it's not technically out yet. It just played at Fantastic Fest. I think it's still doing festivals. The Diamond by Vedran Rupik. This, I think, was the coolest short I've ever seen in my life. It's so freaky, and I don't even know how to describe it. It's insane. You never know the next move that's going to come. Never seen anything like it. It made me so excited that tears came out of my damn eyes. So, highly recommending this short, The Diamond. All right, lastly, what?
Yeah, lastly, I was just going to say real quick, Joe Cappa, he doesn't need any more help, but he's amazing, hilarious animator. Check out his Instagram, TikTok, whatever. He's the next Mike Judge. And my friend Mike Cullen. Mike Cullen, Cullen, I think. Maybe just one E. Anyway, check out his Instagram. He just does funny videos, and he's just like a cool, funny guy.
You gonna keep thinking of friends to plug?
Why not friend plug? Why not plug friends? I'm not plugging the ones that don't make good work.
All right. So if you're listening and you're a pal of Jack's and your name wasn't mentioned, you know what's up now.
Yeah.
You're on notice.
Yeah.
Okay, last one's an actual feature. I watched this movie, Baghead. Have you seen? It's a Duplass Brothers film.
It's a good one. Probably my favorite Duplass Brothers movie.
I don't know if I'd say it's my favorite. I didn't think about it in those terms much, but I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I thought I was just going to watch something stupid to not pay attention to for a while and turn it off. And I actually got so enraptured, I stayed up way too late watching it, and I really enjoyed it. And it's scary. It's a good movie for the spooky season, etc. It's just scary enough to not be too scary for me. And I loved the Duplass brothers' castings of themselves, like of their alternate universe versions of themselves in the film. I thought that was really funny, and they did good with that, too.
Cool.
So I like that movie, and that's all my shit that I've been watching recently.
Nice.
What you got to plug? Where you at? Where can people find you?
You're going to make me do it? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry about all the plugs I sent you to. I feel like such a douche.
You got so many plugs. I don't think that it's a douche. I think that you just got lots of cool stuff coming up, and that rocks.
Well...
do you not think it rocks?
I am just so... I don't know this... Sure, yes, it rocks. I'm just so anxious about my future, and I feel underaccomplished for my age, and I'm just like dying in self-doubt and dread, and I'm coming out of it hopefully. But
Well, you're 20. When do you turn 30?
December 28th.
Okay, so you only got a couple more months, and you'll feel fine.
Okay, great.
And you're not underaccomplished for your age. You're doing great.
Thank you.
Yes. And being in this type of industry, making little weirdo stuff, especially shorts, but also everything else, podcast and like weird movies and stuff, you're always going to feel strange and uncertain about your future, probably, right?
Yeah, well.
But you find others that are the same as you, and they'll make you feel a little better. Community.
Yes, community. I've always been bad at engaging in community, but it's an important thing, isn't it? So. All right, I have a couple short films that came out this year. One's called Revelations. It's an animated one. It's a personal story. And that one was at Slam Dance. Now it's on Vimeo. Watch it there. I have a short film called Brontosaurus. That's also animated, also a personal story. That one's like a little bit darker, a little bit more adult. And I like that one. People seem to like it, which is nice. That's on Vimeo, as I said, I think. I have another short coming out called Amanda, which it just screened for the first time in public at the Duluth Superior Film Festival, and I really enjoyed watching it with a crowd. I'm annoyed that no one else ever programmed it because I do think it works with a crowd. I'm not sure why people don't like it. I mean, everyone I know likes it and is excited by it. It's just like it couldn't get programmed anywhere. I think because it is pretty aggressive and it does kind of go after everything. It is a little bit angry. It is pretty angry, but I think it has a sweet center at the end of it. Features the voice talents of Jesse Pinnock, who's awesome.
Cool.
It's it's a trip, and that is released on No Budge on October 13th. And I don't know when you put this up.
This will be out after that.
It doesn't matter. So it'll still be on No Budge, and then it's going to be free. But you're supposed to pretend it's never going to be free, so people sign up and give you money, but that never works. And then people are like, "Hey, man, I really want to support you, but I don't know, could I get a link? But I really want to support you. Maybe I'll send you money anyway." I'm like, no, here it is free. And then I think I made a whopping $25 on the last one. But hey, that's actually pretty good. And okay, and then I have a podcast coming out. I think it's at the very first week, hopefully, or very beginning of 2023. It will tentatively called Revelations with Jack Dunphy. I think I plugged it earlier, right? Like, so I don't need to go into it too much. And I have this feature documentary that's been killing me. It's a hibernation of documentary and animation, and I've been working on it it's coming up like 8 years, and it's a big project, and it's very personal, and that'll be out sometime. And then I'm developing a feature that was supposed to shoot next month. It didn't happen, but we're shooting the short version of that feature in a month, and to try to I shouldn't talk anymore about it, but that's what I have on the horizon.
That's awesome.
I think that's everything.
That rocks, and I'm glad you're making more films, and keep doing that.
Thank you.
And that's all for the show. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for coming on here.
Thank you.
And we'll be hanging soon, and we'll see everyone else next week or next time. Bye-bye. Say bye.
Bye. Bye-bye. This is going to blow your mind.